Hey guys, do you hear what I'm listening to? I don't know if you can hear it. I'm gonna wait for some folks to tune in. Do you hear that? Do you hear the music? Who's gonna tune in? Who's gonna listen? Okay. So, we're gonna go into a deeper conversation of what detoxing is and how you can detox. And maybe there are some things that you do. I got a little crazy hairy doony hair. Hi. Of what people, whether they realize it or not, mentally get themselves in a situation where they literally won't even allow themselves to detox. They fight it. They fight it. And this is something that I deal with all the time with close friends or family members, people that you meet on the street. There's a resistance to detoxifying in all kinds of different ways. And earlier today, I posted a bunch of things. I'm out there in my bathing suit, and detoxing myself and talking about the different protocols that you can do while you're in the sun. Also did another video of what are going to be the consequences, the side effects, different things like that, that especially if you're a beginner in all of this, Gracie needs to come in here, how to deal with those and keep yourself healthy. Come on, Grace. Come on. There we go. But, I've been thinking that it's important to even talk about some of our mental blocks that keep us from physically detoxifying. Because number one, oh geez Louise, Steeler wants to come inside too. Okay. Apparently my place is the dog haven. So we're gonna just kind of open this up. Come on, Steeler, you can come inside too. Hi, buddy. Everybody's inside. That's great. Okay, here we go. So let's talk about mental, emotional issues that keep us from being able to allow ourselves to physically detox. Because at the end of the day, that's what it comes down to. Your belief system, what you've bought into, your shame, guilt, all kinds of different things. Saying that you're going to go out in a bathing suit. I mean, I know some people that really need to, but they will refuse to even go out in a bathing suit because they're shamed of what their body looks like at the present. Or they think that what they're doing is right, and yet it's killing them. And that's pride. It's pride. Pride. Okay, so they always say pride before a fall. If you're not humble enough to listen to folks that are trying to share with you things that actually create health, and you've bought into a system that has done nothing but make a whole bunch of money off of you, and you don't feel better, but because you've invested in it, it's like a gambling thing. There's a mental gambling thing, economies of scale, where no matter how much money you put into something, you constantly believe that the next thing is going to pay off, but you're falling apart. And yet you refuse to listen to those that actually do have health. And you dismiss them by going, oh, well, it's because of, you're just who you are. And then they hate you for it. They're resentful. And I think that somehow there's this weird cataclysmic wall between, how you are versus them. Let's break that down. Let's break it down. Number one, all the grandmas and grandpa skills, in life skills, and in natural health that were very inexpensive, that kept people healthy for a long period of time, was taken away a long time ago. And everyone wanted to believe in this idea of scientific health, but they didn't ask themselves that there was a really interesting coincidence between, gosh, that hair right there. Let's get rid of that. Okay. There was an interesting coincidence in the timing of saying that science was more important than the grandma and grandpa natural health, and we got to throw that under the bus. It was right around the 1940s when all the Nazi industries and funded industries were taken up from Russia and the US, and then all of a sudden those scientists went one way or the other. They either went to Russia or they went to America. And ever since then, there has been this huge push in believing in science, regardless of natural understanding. It's been going on for a long time. A long time. And what happens on the everyday level with people is that they'll buy into it on a certain level, and their bodies are going to start deteriorating. But they're not going to sit there and say that they were wrong, because they don't want to be wrong. People don't like being wrong. And it sucks. But the thing is that, if you don't know humility and listening to other folks that actually are living in health, and they're not, this is what happens. Like, okay, so you go into a doctor's office, and people will go into hypnosis, and they will do the craziest shit. I mean, if a doctor tells them to put like cyanide in their medicine, they'll do it blindly. And yet the doctor, if there's a side effect of that, the doctor, you can't sue them. You can't sue them. And people will make excuses all day long. Same thing has been going on with so much malpractice, with doctors that listen to their leaders that are funded by all this junk. And then you go into the doctor's office, and because they have a freaking degree, you literally just don't even listen to them. You go in there, you listen, you take whatever they do, and any of the side effects, you justify what they're doing. You justify it. I mean, I've been hearing it for years. Don't even argue with me on this one. But if you have someone who naturally doesn't avoids that stuff and is in health, and then they try to tell you something, you will, even really close friends have fought me on this kind of stuff. Like, all hardcore. They won't listen. But then everyone wonders why I don't do that stuff. And I'm fine. Why don't we allow ourselves to detox? Why don't we do it? First of all, there's addictions. There's huge food addictions. I mean, perfect example, it starts with stress, it starts with fear, it starts with emotion. And, we can go as deep as you want with that concept of fear and stress. Our entire world feeds off of everyone being in fear and stress. I'm wearing my contacts right now, so my eyes are a little itchy. If you can stay in a vibration of fear and stress, then you are fodder for so many different conversations. You get into a cycle of sickness maintenance, what ends up happening when you're in fear and stress, what's the number one thing you do? You want comfort food. What's comfort food? Fast food. It can be chips. It can be Taco Bell. It can be just Pepsi, soda pop, like all that stuff. You know, is that good for you? Absolutely not. Is that going to feed your system and keep you healthy? Absolutely not. If anything, it is the exact opposite. What they call comfort food lowers your immune system. It lowers your vibration. And on top of it, if you're really honest with yourself when you're doing the comfort food, it just wants you to stay in bed all day and not get out in the sun, not feel your full vibrancy. You start gaining weight very quickly. I mean, you know, I remember so when I was a kid, I gained weight because I was emotionally eating. I was in a very not healthy situation. And my way of being able to handle it was to eat comfort food. And if I look back, honestly, with all of that, it made me lessen my desire to want to go and be on swim team, which was what I loved to do. And I would want to watch television all day and just stay inside. That's not healthy. And you start gaining weight. And this is where this compounds. So then you start gaining weight, and then you become self-conscious of your body, and then you're ashamed of it, so you cover it even more, and you don't allow you can't even imagine, oh my gosh, I'm not going to go out and put myself in a bathing suit, get out in the sun, and put coconut oil on and detox from all of this insanity that started off in my head in the first place. This is where it all begins. This is where it all begins. You know, it's a compound of I'm stressed, I'm in fear, I'm going to have comfort food, and then I'm going to be ashamed of the weight gain that I have, and I'm going to cover myself even more because I don't want to put myself out there. So here's the freedom. You know, if you've been fighting shame or guilt, stress, fear, it's something that's the main reason why I did a show a few years ago called Chew on This in Pittsburgh. I'll be out in just a minute. What's eating you up? Because if you've gone through trauma, and a lot of us have, most of us have, I have, okay, big time, I mean multiple, but instead of taking it in and letting it eat you up, you express it however you need to express it. Whether it's through talking, whether it's through art, whether it's through whatever it is, and then not allowing the shame or the guilt that happens when you might end up having habits that end up having you gain weight. What is weight? Okay, and this is what I was trying to talk about in the humorous way in Chew on This, is that fat, aka weight. Before you hear this, take a nice glass of wine. Take a sip because you're not going to like hearing it, but it's the truth. Fat and weight is an explosion of yeast, fungus, mold, and parasites in your system. That's what fat is. And then they have a mind of their own. They want you to stay in the dark. They want you to keep eating unhealthy. They want you to keep thinking negative thoughts all the time. They want you to be in fear and in stress because that feeds them. Because the more that you're in fear and stress, the more you eat the comfort food. And what's the comfort food? Perfect food for them. They love it. And maybe your living environment gets a little unhealthy. It feeds them, doesn't feed you. Keep you in the dark. Keep you in spaces where there's not fresh air. Keep you in spaces where it's toxic. Where outside your own body that's already creating yeast, fungus, mold, and parasites, you're literally seeing it in your living environment. Okay, so how to rewind that? How to get yourself into a better place? Number one, there's no reason for you to be in shame or guilt or condemnation in any way, shape, or form. And as much as it's difficult, depending on the level of where you're at mentally, because if you're living in your best interest, you're going to gravitate towards the thing that create health. If you find yourself in a place where you're constantly gravitating towards things that are not working for you, those things, the yeast, fungus, mold, parasites, they have their own brains too, and they want to live. They're going to be influencing you. So every time that you feel that you've got to grab some junk food, or that maybe you shouldn't go outside on a beautiful day, or you shouldn't exercise when you know you should, if you feel ashamed of going out in the sun, and I don't care where you're at, get out in the sun, put on your bathing suit, get naked, whatever, in privacy. I'm not saying be an exhibitionist, but the more that you expose your body to UV ray lights with coconut oil, like the more that all that stuff gets killed. What's stopping you from doing that? Those things, because they want to live. They want to live. And it becomes a mental game. It becomes a mental game. It really does. And then you start fighting, and the funny thing is that you'll fight with your best friend. When your best friend's out there being like, dude, get out in the sun, do this sort of thing, you will fight them tooth and nail. Why? Why? This is what it is. This is the inner, this is the deeper conversation of detox. You know, because I mean, some people will focus on just the physicality because they want to look pretty, or they want their body to be sexy and blah 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 blah. You know what I mean? Like that's their MO. But there's a lot more people that are struggling mentally and emotionally with past trauma, with stress, with all kinds of things, that there's a mental emotional blockage that won't allow them a healthy living environment. And it's something that I felt I needed to talk about with you guys tonight, because even listening to so many people, oh my God, that are just like fear. And I walked by a family of 4 today at the park. They were not in a good physical space. The mom was probably 300 pounds overweight. The father was another 200 pounds overweight. The kids, who were only like 10 or 6, are way overweight. And every single one of them were wearing like not only regular masks, but like industrial masks. I'd like to see what their living environment is. I'd like to see what their eating habits are. I'd like to see what their mental processes are. This is what it comes down to, you know? I mean, what's chewing you up? What's chewing you up that you think that feeding into fear is more important than feeding into life? Any kind of trauma, any kind of thing really does create a space where a lot of people just want to hunker down. And then they want to believe a lot of lies. Because it's easier. And don't you think that the the normal, regular medical industry feeds off that. Because if you can get past your own mental stress and find joy, and then find the wherewithal to get out and exercise and do the things that work for your body, that work for your mind, that work for your spirit, choosing, it goes back to what I was saying about a week ago. I mentioned in one of my videos that I was talking with this guy, and he's a business owner, and he was, had it all masked up or whatever, and he was like, yeah, just be safe, and I was like, well, in your business, do you ever make decisions based on fear, or do you make your decisions on business based on what's really truly going to feed your business? Right? And he was silent, because every business owner knows, every entrepreneur knows, if you make a decision based on fear, you are dead in the water. You're done. If you make a decision based on what's truly going to feed your business and the imagination and the vision that you have for your business, it is going to skyrocket. Why can't we translate that and apply that to our own lives? If you personally make a decision based on fear, and I've done it, I mean, we've all done it, okay? I'm not trying to be like Buddha on the freaking mountain or anything like that. I'm just talking real, because you know what? You've been tuning into the news all day long. Those people are freaking crazy, and they're paid to talk crazy, and they're paid a lot of money to talk crazy, and they're going to sell you crazy, and they're going to make you crazy, and that's why we're here. And I'm tired of walking out of my house every single day. It's not even my house. I'm homeless at this point. I'm like, the true people that get it are on the outskirts, and the psycho people are owning all of this stuff and trying to sell you fear. And yet everyone knows, if you make a decision on your own based on fear, it never comes to any good fruition. But if you make a decision based out of love, there's a choice, and there's a chance that it's actually going to be epic every single time. What are you choosing for your own mind every single moment? Are you listening to idiots? I listened to a conversation a few minutes ago. I can't even handle it. It was stupid. Moving on. Are you going to listen to people that are going to be talking about abundance and health, and they literally reflect that? Are you going to listen to those folks? Are you going to listen to crazy people who constantly sell you fear, and then you stress out about it, and then you stock up on comfort food and a whole bunch of crap that feeds you nothing but weight gain in your own system, and then you're locked up in your own home, and you're afraid to go outside? And then even if you think, well, someone's telling me that the sunlight is fantastic, I'm ashamed of going outside because I'm self-conscious of my own body at this point. See, it's all these layers. Do not be ashamed of where you're at with your body, or wherever you're at. Get out in the sun and let it heal you. Let it heal you. And get rid of fear-based ideas, fear-based thoughts, fear-based language. And if you don't know what that is, I mean, okay, here's some examples. Oh, okay, let's watch how those Georgia people, okay, this is the conversation. This was the conversation, and it drove me freaking nuts. Oh, okay, so Georgia wants to open up their state. Let's see how many people die. I'm going to stay at home. I'm going to eat a whole bunch of freaking bad food, and let's see how many of those folks die. Who says that? Who says that? Why aren't we speaking out? You know what? Go into the world. get in the sun. And those that are courageous enough to not listen to the liars that have been making a whole bunch of money by selling us fear and stress and then want to sell us a vaccine on top of that, let's encourage those folks and then breathe life in them. Like, you know what? Let's speak blessings over them. Even if there might be a really horrible pandemic that's out there that's going to kill them, would you really want to see them die? How about say, you know what? I say a prayer over them. If that's what they choose to do, I say a prayer over them, and that nothing is going to hurt them, and that by them going out there and doing that, let's speak blessings over them, and let's hope that we can open up and be normal again, and live our best lives possible, and be able to have amazing times all again with all of each other. Why wouldn't people be saying that instead? Toxic mental turns into physical. Are the yeast, fungus, mold, parasites talking, or are you talking? Our minds, our bodies, our minds are a reflection of our body. And this is a do or die, literally, situation we've got going on right now. If you're going to talk negatively towards people that just want to have their life back, and yet you're going to encourage the negative, maybe you should get out in the sun. Maybe you should stop eating all that junk food. Maybe you should clean your mind. Maybe you're on drugs. Maybe you got issues with drugs. Clean it up. Clean it up. Clean up your house. Clean up your space. This is a moment of truth. This is a moment of truth, whether we like it or not. And I will continue to share all kinds of different protocols that I've learned. You can listen or not. You can believe it or not. Do what you want. It's fine. But I like to be able to share these kind of things. And I'm tired of hearing. You know what I'm tired of? I'm tired of people saying what I say is negative, and yet they're spewing hate and negativity all day long. I'm tired of that. What I talk about is the truth, whether you like it or not, and then I try to talk about encouraging things that will raise it up. If you don't like it, bye, Felicia. But if it improves your life and it improves your well-being, awesome. And it really does. I mean, like, we can do all these different protocols physically, but if you don't get your mind cleared up and you don't stop cursing people, our words matter. Our imaginations matter. And the more people that keep breathing life into the negative, that's toxic. But the more that you speak the good and what can be, that's the positive. Does that make sense? And it also breathes life into yourself, to those immediately around you, and to your community. So there's that. Think about that, I hope. All right, guys. Leave some really good things in the comments, because I'd love to hear your best imagination and what you can imagine it can be like for the rest of 2020. That'd be really, really good. Because honestly, I'd like the rest of 2020 to be super awesome, because the first half of 2020 has been cray-cray. It's time to change it. And we can do that from here out. Beautiful inside, beautiful outside. You got it. Change the script anytime you want. You got the power. Peace out. Happy Sunday. Get out in the sun.